If you don't know this woman, her name is Julie Bose, like the speakers, not to be confused like Julie Booze, as many people call her in the Nashville industry. So Julie Bose, please come to the stage. You're talking, but Julie is the co-owner, VP, business manager of Flood, Bumstead, McCready, and McCarthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Wait, should this be coming up? How about that? Okay, here we go. All right, so hey everyone, I'm Julie Bose, as Heather said. I'm a business manager at Flood, Bumstead, McCready McCarthy, and basically a business manager is a CFO of an artist's business and personal life. And my job is to take complicated financial information, simplify it down so that an artist can make good decisions about their money. I always say that my job is part accountant, so I'm tracking the income, tracking the expenses, forecasting, budgeting, reporting to them on what's happened, and using that information to make decisions. I'm part educator because I'm, especially with young artists, I'm spending a lot of time sort of teaching them about the industry, how it works, how cash flow works in the industry, because they just don't know at that point. And then for the team, ooh, that got very bright. For the team around the artist, I'm helping interpret contract language and explain what the dollars and cents are behind the various deals that the artist is in. And then I'm also part psychologist. So it's really difficult to hide your stuff from the person who's managing your money. So I spend a lot of time dealing with people's triggers and baggage about money and helping them sort of navigate sudden wealth, as well as helping the baby artist sort of figure out how to manage on a tight budget. Both ends are complicated, and I spend a lot of time sort of trying to help people figure out how to make good decisions for themselves. So, I'll give you a quick background on me. I grew up in Hiawatha, Kansas, population 3,500. That's my sister. And no one else here is from Hiawatha, Kansas, I can promise you. I attended Kansas State University, and I graduated in 1992 and took a job in Kansas City working in banking. And then in 1995, I experienced what I call my quarter-life crisis, where I looked around and said, is this it? Is this as good as it gets? Is this what I'm doing for the next 40 years? And started a quest to kind of figure out, okay, what could my next move be? Then in 1993, I took a fateful weekend trip to Nashville to visit a college friend who happens to be in the audience tonight. To visit her because she had taken a job here in Nashville and wanted us to come visit. This is a picture from that weekend. This is how selfies used to work for anyone who's not aware before phones. That's me that you're looking at my nose. So this was the first trip to Nashville that I ever took, and there was a lot going on here. I was really impressed. I thought, wow, Nashville. I'd never even considered it. So fast forward to 95 when I'm in the middle of my quarter-life crisis, and I keep thinking, I could move to Nashville. There has to be someone who does the business stuff in the music industry. So I quit my job, and I moved to Nashville. We're going to go day by day through this. I hope you're okay with that. So, okay, we won't, but day one was important. So the day I moved to Nashville, I packed my stuff, I landed here. By this point, my one friend had moved to Chicago. So I arranged to stay with some friends of friends. And the first day I arrived here, a guy showed up at their house named Mike. And he said, hey, you want to work in the music industry? My wife and I are moving back to Kansas, and you could come talk to my boss because we pay people's bills. And I thought, okay, I'll do that until something better comes along. So, that was 20 years ago, and that was at Bumstead, McCready McCarthy. So basically, I started opening the mail, answering the phones, really doing anything they asked me to do. And I knew absolutely zero about the music industry. I mean, no one could know less than I did. But I just started learning through on-the-job training. I took classes. I read Billboard. I just self-educated as much as I could, just trying to figure out what I didn't know. And I like to joke that I basically Forrest Gumped my way into the music industry because I'm not even sure people could do it that way anymore. Like, I was so naive, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I just did it, and it worked. So, I don't know. Now, 20 years later, looking back and at how different it is, business management is so expanded from when I started. So, if I look back and I think the stakes are just higher now. The industry is more sophisticated than it was back then. When I think back about what it was then and now, I think, back then you were signed to a label. You had one distribution channel, and your audit issues were free goods and reserves. That was about it. Today, lots of people are their own label, self-releasing records. They own their masters. They might have a licensing deal. They might have a joint venture. The label still might own their record. But then you also have distribution channels, not only the physical distribution, but you've also got downloads and streaming. So which is great, but it also just complicates everything when you start mixing and matching all those options. And especially, it makes the audit process far more complicated. Touring. Primarily, we toured North America, maybe a little bit of Canada. Today, we're touring worldwide. You're Australia, you're Europe, Japan, South America, you're everywhere. So again, you have to educate yourself a lot on foreign touring, more than you did probably 20 years ago. Taxes, you filed with the IRS if you were not Willie Nelson. And today, you file with the IRS, you file in every state you play, you file in some cities and municipalities, and you file internationally. So it's definitely a far-reaching tax situation. Employees. You had guys who went out, you paid them per show. There was nothing more than that. It was simple. Maybe the bus drivers weren't simple, but other than that, now you've got guys who are per show, you've got guys who are weekly, you've got guys who are salary. You have DOT regulations, which was a major change in the industry when those came on the scene for bus drivers. And you've got employee policy manuals where you're talking about sexual harassment and drug and alcohol policies and intellectual property rights, and it just didn't exist before. It did, but nobody was paying attention. Insurance. You had general liability, workers' comp, hired non-owned auto, and equipment coverage. Today, you've got all that, plus you got to think about cybercrime policies and employee liability coverage and cancellation coverage and foreign liability, and it just goes on and on. And then you get the obscure requests as a business manager. When you don't know who else to call the business manager. And it's like, hey, remember that house I sold? There's Christmas decorations in the attic, and I didn't take those when I left. Can you call and figure out how to get those back from the new owner? Or, hey, I think we want to buy some property in the Cayman Islands because I hear everything there that you make would be tax-free. That is not true. Or, hey, I've got a pet kangaroo, and I need to know, is it a problem to travel from state to state with that? Are there any states that won't allow a kangaroo? Can you look into that? Sure, I'll look into that. So the reality is it's kind of broad and far-reaching, and I think it changes every day. It gets more diverse every day and more sophisticated every day. So, the deal is I can't know all of that, one person cannot know all of the answers to these questions, but the beauty of it is I don't have to. I thankfully have a lot of great partners that I work with, and when I don't know the answers, I just get to ask other smart people that work for us, and they get to help me come up with the right answer. So I feel very fortunate. Any questions?
I know, so if nobody has a question, I have one. I have this account in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
Can I call you tomorrow?
Yeah, please do.
Awesome. All right, so thank you. Julie, can you hear me? I'm a speaker, Bose.
There you go.
Yes.
Time to come together, people everywhere. Things are getting better. Who knew that it was here? If you got the patience, keep an open mind. Things happen for a reason. This could be the time. Who knew? 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 Keep the wheels turning, progress won't be denied. Don't stop the fire burning, brilliance lives inside. Time for a solution, changes in the